Yes.
Next. Thank you. Through you to sponsor. Sir, just before you make the comment, I will assure you I do not support your bill in any way.
You
So,
support my bill.
I do not. It's probably one of the most awful pieces of legislation I've seen to date.
Thank you for voting nice.
You're welcome. So in defense of the increase in fees a while ago, you said that it happens all the time when you're trying to exercise your First Amendment right, where there's these permitting fees. Are you aware of how much it costs to get a permit to protest outside this Capitol complex?
I'm not aware of that
It's free.
specifically.
Just so you know, it's free. The permit in Section 3 of this, your permit expires every 2 years. It says in that same section under letter B that it gives control of the renewal process to the superintendent. Are people going to have to go through the same rigorous process they have to go through for their initial application every 2 years?
So, there's a permitting fee process now for concealed carry.
That's not my question. My question is, every 2 years it expires, and in your bill, Section 3, subsection B, it says that the superintendent has control of the renewal process. Is in your intent that the applicant goes through the entire process again, the entire rigorous process again?
It was not my intent. For example, I don't think that they would make you go through fingerprinting again, but they would make you fill out a survey question and references again.
Would you consider putting that
and a review the local licensing authority?
Would you consider putting that in the bill so that they don't have unilateral authority to?
We could talk about it.
Thank you. Rob Nixon previously testified, and he said, quote, private property is basically everywhere. This is Section 24. I'm sorry, Section 7A 24.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Bergen. If I put that in there, are you going to vote yes for the bill?
No, but at least it won't be as bad. But I won't vote yes.
What would have to change in this bill for you to vote yes on it?
You want me to start listing them?
Yeah.
Okay, we can go through it. Okay, well, let's start with this. Section 7, subparagraph A, number 24, lists all private property as you not being allowed to conceal carry, which
Without the permission of the property.
without the permission of the property owner. And if you do so, you're guilty of a third-degree crime. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you know the penalties of a third-degree crime?
I guess. Mr. Weber.
I'm asking you, sir. You made it a third-degree crime, so I want to know if you know the penalties of a third-degree crime.
No.
But I'll tell you what they are. Maybe you'll reconsider it. Between 3 and 5 years in jail and a $15,000 fine. So if a person who has a concealed carry permit steps foot on another person's property without their permission, they're guilty of a third-degree crime. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And then, so I'll give you one example. I'm going to ask you for more, but I'll give you one example of one place I'm allowed to carry my weapon. I can walk out of my house and into the middle of the street and walk my dog. What if my dog goes to the bathroom on a property and I go to pick up what the dog just did as a good citizen? Under your bill, I'm guilty of a third-degree crime. Are you aware of that?
Yep.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
In Section 7, subparagraph A, number 25, that section allows municipalities unilateral, unchecked permission to further restrict your ability to carry as they see fit. Did you know that?
I do.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay. Do you agree that we have a constitutional right to bear arms?
I do.
Would it bother you to know that a municipality...
I'm not answering that question.
You're not answering that question. I didn't even finish it yet.
Because there's no way that question isn't about this bill.
No problem. I got another one. It's all good.
Okay.
Section 7A, paragraph 25, C3, requires you to take your gun out, unconceal it, and lock it in your car.
You said 7A25?
Yep, C3.
Oh, C3.
Section 7A, subparagraph 25, letter C, number 3.
Hold on, stand by.
Haven't we discussed this already?
No, we haven't.
The gun in the car? We discussed the gun in the car.
Not with the sponsor. I discussed it with,
Well, it was an exchange also. The sponsor was
Right, but
involved in that discussion.
with all due respect, Madam Chair, you don't know the question I'm about to ask. So
The
I can assure you,
subject area you just mentioned.
I can
is
assure
the-
you the question I'm about to ask has not been asked yet today.
All right, go ahead.
I feel like this is like my cousin Vinny. It's a trick question. There is no section.
Not trick, it's very, you wrote it.
There is no section C3.
There is. All right, well, I'll just tell you what it says, and you should know it. I mean, you've been asking for the exact paragraph. I just gave it to you.
Are you reading the second reprint?
I'm reading, yeah. All right, well, listen, we can get there without having you look at it. And if we can't, I'll bring it over and show you.
Hold on. Oh.
Sir, it just requires you to take your handgun from being concealed and lock it in your car prior to getting in your car.
Assemblyman?
I'm sorry, let's
Did you
start
ask
all
your
over.
question?
I think I found
I was
it.
waiting for him. Okay, all right. So it's a demonstration that the gentleman before did. So here's are you aware of a law against brandishing?
No.
You're not. Okay, there's a law against brandishing a weapon. Brandishing is showing your weapon. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just explaining it in layman's terms. If you show your weapons against the law, it's a crime to do that. What you're essentially asking in Section 7A, paragraph 25, C3, is for a person to brandish their weapon in public. Again,
Assemblyman, I think you are referring to the discussion we had earlier about, I think it was the first witness who described the process of taking the gun
Yes,
out of
Madam
the
Chair.
trunk.
That's true. Madam Chair, with all, through you and respectfully, the argument made prior was that that would give the perception to another member of the public that that person was a danger. Okay? The argument I'm making is that the sponsor is turning law-abiding citizens into criminals by forcing them to take their weapon out in public. That's the argument that I'm making. And I want to know if the sponsor is aware of that.
So we do have a paragraph, I'm going to have to find it, where it does cover inadvertent display, taking it off or putting it back on
Okay.
your body.
You don't happen to know where that is now? I'm happy to look.
Stand by.
And somebody would have to see
okay.
what you're doing and to be able to distinguish between brandishing, as you say, or just lawfully putting the
Now-
gun back.
Madam
Or-
Chair, understood, and thank you. That's a great point. But with all due respect, we just sat on another bill, and I listened to members of the majority party tell me that people are oppressed in this state and they are fearful of police. And so that's a reason to make a law. Those same people, and one of our people who testified mentioned a minority being at risk demonstrating this weapon in public. So, okay, so maybe a police officer doesn't react with lethal force, but maybe they're guilty of brandishing. This is a real concern. This is a bad part of the bill. It needs to be. I can move on, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
I figured you'd like that.
I do.
To the sponsor, my colleague mentioned disabilities before and how it's an issue for him, and you mentioned somebody being 100% blind, and I happen to agree with you in that regard, but why don't you just list the people that it should restrict? Why don't you just say, if you're 100% blind, you can't conceal carry? Why does it have to be so vague as to put another person with disability through a process which may be uncomfortable for them? Is that something you'd be willing to change?
So you're asked on a process if you have disabilities that would prevent you from responsibly carrying or using a firearm. If you answer yes, or even if you answer no and it's been determined yes, that's handled by the superintendent or the local license authority. And there's an appeal process built into this. And that's not changing. That's what it is today, right?
Well, Assemblyman, you're going through great lengths to rewrite this bill. You could write that wrong. You could add in specific criteria of things that should prevent you from, instead of leaving it up to a disabled person to justify in court. So you have the ability. I would just ask you to consider that.
So you know what? I'm going to write that down. I respect and value your suggestion, and I'm going to tell you it's not being ignored.
Thank you. What about, to the sponsor, one of the people who testified today very clearly pointed out, and I don't have it in front of me, but that the bill contradicts an existing executive order. Remember that part of the testimony?
Vaguely.
For insurance, that the bill that requires somebody to carry insurance directly contradicts a current executive order? Have you done anything to rectify that disparity?
No, that's not in the bill. Executive orders change all the time.
Okay. Just for clarity, under your bill, is it true that carrying a weapon in parks, beaches, any other recreational facility is prohibited?
Yes.
Someone, I know you've been asked this question before, but I have to ask it again because I think it's just so important that you answer it, because we quite clearly don't know, and if we don't know, after reading the bill in detail, the general public will not know. Can you give one example, other than the one I already presented to you, of me walking down the center of my own street, where you can legitimately concealed carry a weapon under the constitutional right that you said you believed we had? Just one place.
You can carry everywhere in New Jersey unless it's listed in this bill.
But Assemblyman, everywhere is listed in the bill.
That's not true.
Assemblyman, you can't carry a weapon in your car while driving. You can't carry it in any private place that didn't give you express permission. You can't.
So,
Assemblyman, we did go down this road.
We did.
Before.
We did.
Of the list of places that I feel reasonable and completely focused on safety and protecting the community of New Jersey, what places do you object to that's on that list? Do you object to hospitals and daycares?
Parks?
Ports? Okay.
Sure, daycares. I mean, look.
Parks? Any other place?
Yeah, beaches.
All right.
Daycares, supermarkets, libraries, museums, theaters. Keep going.
Okay.
I'm sorry, has someone got a comment over there? You want to weigh in? Okay. All right, hopefully you'll weigh in next.
Excuse me, Assemblyman.
He's muttering over there. I apologize, but, you know. So, last thing that I'll ask you. Sir, you have taken what I would consider to be a very discriminatory approach towards women when answering the question about their ability to carry today. You have made comments that, in my view, are inappropriate about their ability to carry and, quite frankly, uneducated. Your bill prevents a woman from carrying if she's wearing clothes that you don't pre-approve of. Are you going to take measures to allow a woman to carry in whatever outfit she happens to use, using commonly used methods to carry, i.e. in her purse?
Your comment's just absurd.
It's not.
Come on, Brian.
Your bill's absurd.
Assemblyman,
That's just absurd.
I'm sorry. I'm
a
woman.
Listen,
I do not
understand
find
the team sport
the
here,
sponsor's
but
comments discriminatory.
Brian,
I don't know
that
if any
was
of the other
insulting
women on the
to me.
committee
And you know I would not
say anything.
intentionally offend or disrespect women. I was just making a point that they seem to have a lot more attire options as compared to men in typical day-to-day. And for you to insinuate that, dude,
Sir, look,
that broke a code.
All right,
I know.
let's
Madam
stick
Chair.
to the bill
Okay,
if
Madam
you
Chair,
have
thank you.
specific questions
thank you.
about the bill.
Madam Chair, the reason why I use the word discriminatory is because discriminatory is treating some people differently than others.
I know what discrimination is.
Thank you.
I'm a
This
woman.
bill very clearly discriminates against a woman's ability to exercise her constitutional right to carry.
But you implied it's something more personal than me. I
don't believe it's personal.
Let me apologize.
I'm sorry. I don't believe it's personal, but the bill is discriminatory in nature. In this
Okay,
regard.
that I respect your opinion on that. That reworded is a lot less personally attacking.
Thank you. I apologize. I
all
get
right.
fired up in the moment. So, sir, will you commit to altering your bill to allow a woman to carry her weapon in anything she might be wearing, like a man can?
What I'm committed to is providing New Jersey a law that in all conceivable circumstances that we can define to be as safe as possible.
Okay.
And that's what this bill does. It provides what I consider common sense safety measures. This is more of a bill of safety than it is about guns.
Thank you, sir. So if I could just ask then, what's the rationale for not allowing a woman to carry a gun in a purse?
There's nothing in here that that prevents a woman to do or not do anything. I don't know why you're trying to make this a sexist argument.
I'm not. You said,
Well, you did.
You said before, and in previous testimony in another committee, that under your bill, a woman could not carry her gun in her purse. You said that. Is that not true now?
Unless it is strapped to the person. And a man can carry a purse. Right?
Very good point. So a person...
How many times did you wait outside the dressing room holding a purse?
Sir. Oh, God. How do I recall? So, all right, never mind. I can't without going over the
Okay,
line.
and
Thank
are
you.
there any other comments or questions for the sponsor? No. All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve the bill with the amendments. Thank you. Roll call.
On the motion to amend and report A4769